Hello, everyone. Welcome you all to another episode on Azure on Air. I am Illiteracy, and today is going to be a special episode on Integrate 2022, the most awaited event of the year for Azure developers or everyone who is working in the Azure space. And I have got two special guests with me today to enlighten us on what we can expect from this event. I have got our very special Azure coach, Michael Stephenson, who is also an MEP for more than a decade now. And I have Lex, who is also a core organizer of Integrate 2022. I welcome Mike and Lex onto this show.
Hey, as all, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Lex.
Hi, Ellen. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me as a guest.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lex. Lex, to get started with, we would like to hear from you. What is Integrate 2022 all about and what is in store for us?
Yeah, Ellen, this year we are really happy to be able to have a live event again in London after that wasn't possible for the last couple of years, mainly because of the pandemic, of course. And well, over the years, this conference has evolved from a user group kind of setting with around 10 years ago only 50 attendees and a couple of speakers to the event that we currently have of 3 days full of sessions with people from the Microsoft product group and all kinds of community speakers. And this year we will have a hybrid conference, so both with a venue in London, but also for people who won't be able to make it to London, they will be able to follow the conference via an online platform.
That's awesome, and it is great to be back as a live event after a couple of years amidst of this COVID situations. Yes, I have been in one of the live events a couple of years back where we had a great interaction with the Microsoft product teams as well as evangelists like Mike and others. So it was a great learning, and the platform gives you a lot of exposure into the happenings in Azure. And as you pointed out, Lex, and we are going to talk more about the sessions that has been lined up, and I would like inputs from Mike as we talk about every session that has been put on the session plans of Integrate 2022. Feel free to add your inputs as well, Lex, as we talk about every session.
Indeed, Ellen. Microsoft comes with a couple of new faces in the lineup of this year's Integrate. And we've also seen that several community members have joined Microsoft. People like Wagner Silvera and Eldert and even Kent Ware. Yeah, they are all working for Microsoft now. And what they've done for this year's conference, they came up with a kind of game plan where they explained what kind of sessions they are all going to do. And at high level, you will see that they have multiple end-to-end sessions and deep dive sessions.
Awesome. Yeah, sure, Lex. And Mike, you had something to add on?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to set expectation for the listener. So I think what we were going to do was just talk about the topics, and
Mm, mm,
and I think the key thing to just note is that obviously the speakers are going to talk about whatever their interpretation of their topic is,
mm,
and we're not like anything we talk about here is really just the idea of that topic area, and hopefully it
mm,
prompts people to
mm,
think about what they might like to see it integrate. It might prompt people to have questions
mm,
either before the event or during the event.
mm,
And
mm,
maybe it gives speakers ideas of what kind of things people are interested in that topic. So we're not like line
mm.
by line going to explain what each session's about. It's just really the topic areas we're talking about. I think just to make it really clear on that, because obviously we don't want to lock one of the speakers into having to talk about a certain thing that we've talked about here, which isn't really what we're planning, I think.
Correct. So, okay, fine. Yeah. So based on both of your inputs, I'll repeat that segment again. Yeah. So Lex, it is exciting to know that the event is going to be in person this year. The amount of interaction that we get in Integrate is amazing, and that is something that we add to our. That's a great value add into our profession. Yes, so it's going to be a great event for all those who are working in the integration space, be it with the BizTalk server or in the Azure, and you have an excellent lineup of sessions that's going to be a part of the Integrate event on all 3 days. And in today's podcast episode, I would like to invite inputs from Mike and Lex on all the sessions that has been identified or for Integrate 2022. And this is going to be our point of view on what we are expecting from these sessions, and the actual content might be specific to these speakers who are delivering this session. So Mike, we would request your view on the sessions that has been put up for Integrate 2022.
So I think the first one we should talk about is the keynote, the state of integration. I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
most important session of the week, really, isn't it? And I think Balan, who's the speaker there, is quite new to the. I'm not sure if Balan's been with
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft for a long time or not, but certainly I think in the integration space, he's not someone that the community's
Mm-hmm.
sort of that familiar with. So I think it'd be really great to meet Balan and learn about what his role is, how he fits into the group of teams. Because let's face it, when we talk about integration, it's not just one team; it's a group of teams at
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft that
Mm-hmm.
deliver products that we all use and connect together to solve problems. So I think that state of integration piece is really important. It's the thing customers always ask about. Things like what's the roadmap,
Mm-hmm.
what's the plans, how do we, what problems will we be trying to solve in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's a really important session which sets the theme, and we know in the past,
Yeah.
let's face it, we've had sort of years where Microsoft's product roadmap's been really weak,
Mm-hmm.
and unclear, and I think that that's been feedback in the past. But then there's been other years where the roadmap's been really solid, so like I think it was last couple of years, John Fancy's often done
Mm-hmm.
the kind of the state of the landscape type session and in that keynote, and he's always put a really strong message out there and had
Mm-hmm.
quite a good view about what he thinks people are going to be doing in the integration space. So it'll be really good to get some reinforcement, especially when there's been a few changes in the Microsoft area with new people leaving and a couple of people leaving and stuff. So um,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe comes on to the next session after
Mm-hmm.
Balan, where Kent, who's an old friend of ours, who Kent's been in the integration space for years and years, and he's sort
Mm-hmm.
of had should we call it a sabbatical in the Power Platform, um, and
Mm-hmm.
he's been doing some great work there, and
Yeah.
especially in the RPA space. But the thing to me that's really exciting for Kent coming back into our area is I think
Mm.
the thing Kent's really learned in the Power Platform ecospace is kind of the importance of public presence, which I think we
Mhm.
all know has been a weak area in Microsoft integration in the past, is who is the face of integration and what are they saying publicly on a regular basis. So
Mm.
hopefully Kent's going to bring some really good learnings from Power Platform into our
Agree.
ecosystem, and also
Mm.
the fact that Kent has a background as an enterprise architect
Mm.
managing customers who've done integration for the long term successfully. I think he understands the problems that we have,
Mhm.
and I think to me that's quite an exciting thing. So I'm really keen to hear what Kent has to say about hopefully
Yes.
application and SaaS integrations about big enterprise customers doing modern integration with SaaS apps, but also probably have legacy systems that need to play in that architecture as well. So that could be a really interesting session, I think.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I find these two sessions lined up would give us a lot of insights for enterprises to plan their integration roadmap.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
to me, they're the two, the
Mm.
two key sessions. I think,
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones people are going to make their decisions based on. Really, I would guess about what kind of technologies they use and what kind of
Exactly.
patterns and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Followed by a session by Wagner on low code, pro code unite. That sounds
Mhm.
amazing. Nice title. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that to me this is going to be really interesting. I mean, I don't know the details of exactly what Wagner's going to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the topic area itself's really quite interesting. And Wagner, he's another MVP friend in the past who's been in our community group for years, and he's
Mm-hmm.
sort of joined Microsoft a few months ago, and
Yeah.
again, it's another another person who's very active in the community in the past. So hopefully
Yes.
that'll give more exposure to integration on a regular basis, which is a good thing. But I think low code, pro code. I think
Mm,
if you look at what's happening in the Power Platform space,
mm, mm, mm.
so let's be really clear here. Power Platform's got a much bigger
Yeah.
community and user base than what Azure iPaaS has.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think what they're doing is that idea of making integration accessible
Yeah.
through things like Power Automate is
Mm,
that's really the low code. And if there's things between things like logic apps and API management and functions where to me
mm,
that's pro
mm.
code end of the spectrum. And if the more we can kind of blur the lines in the middle and make
Yes.
pro code a bit more
Mm,
local, then it's as an analogy, it's quite a good thing. Should be
mm-hmm.
making life easier. And
Yes.
if we can, learn some things from how Power Platform, make, because let's face it, since Dynamics
Yeah.
changed to Power Platform, everybody's doing Power Platform stuff all over the place. And if we can get that kind of traction with
Mm.
the integration technologies as well, it's going to be a good thing, I think.
Awesome. So
Do you have any
we can.
opinion on that session, Lex?
Yeah, let's see, Mike. I have the abstract of Wagner's session here, so let me read it out. So he says, empowering any individual to be a part of the integration journey,
Mm-hmm.
from pro IT developers exposing backend systems with APIs, to citizen developers consuming those APIs in low-code front ends. Yeah, so that's really what he's going to talk about, of course. How pro IT
Mm-hmm.
developers expose backend systems and make them available, to let's say citizen developers and make developing integrations as easy as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah, we making integration easy is the theme there, isn't it? Really.
Yes, it's exciting. Yes. And yeah, Kevin Lam and Clements would be talking about event-driven architectures. Awesome. Yeah.
So this one's an interesting one for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Kevin and Clemens have been speakers at Integrate very regularly, and good friends of ours,
Mm.
and great people to have in the service bus area and event grid area and that kind of thing. So I think and
Mm-hmm.
anytime we have those guys doing a session, it's probably going to be
Mm-hmm.
quite deep dive, quite interesting and very technical. And
Mm.
it's always a great one to learn about what the guys in the product team are thinking about how to build those kind of systems.
Mm.
I think for me, what will be really interesting is I'm kind of hoping that session's a bit more of a right. If you're building event grid type solutions or event solutions, this is how you use the technology to do it. Is kind of what I'm hoping it's a bit
Mm.
more about, and maybe it's talking about what customers are doing and how to solve real world problems. I don't off the
Mm-hmm.
top of my head. It'd be interesting to see it summits this year if there's any major new things coming out in those spaces. In the event hub, event grid. To me, they feel like
Mm-hmm.
they've kind of fairly matured now,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll obviously they'll be doing things to make it just improve it and stuff. But I'm not sure
Mm.
that there's any really major things happening off the top of my head. Feel free to jump in if people have got comments if we've missed anything there. But I'm hoping this is more of like a
Mm.
kind of how do you apply the technologies rather than here's some cool new shiny stuff in it. Um,
Exactly. So even we find this like making an existing application, re-architecturing it to become event driven. That has been something that we hear at the customer end quite often. So if that is also going to be touched upon in this session, that's going to be of great benefit to number of people who are in that phase now.
As mentioned earlier, Microsoft comes up with a game plan and to have both end-to-end scenario sessions and deep dive sessions for this integrate. So the session from Kevin Lamb and Clemens Foster falls into the category of the end-to-end sessions. Let me look up because I must also have
Mm-hmm.
the abstract here. Yeah, here it is. Uh, let's see. Yeah. So it's only short, but what they say about it is that in this session they will show you how to build real-time applications, collect analytics about the performance of that application, and they will share experiences around events. So basically, they will show how you can combine multiple technologies and end up with event-driven integrations.
You just reminded me of
Yes.
a good point, actually, Lex, there, when I was thinking about that session earlier. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if we do a dirty plug, Ezel, for the webinar that we did a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
when I did one about messaging and event solutions
Mm, mm,
on the Serverless 360 webinars. And I think what I was trying to get across in that session, although we were focusing more from the support perspective, but the thing
yeah.
about event-driven architectures and messaging architectures is
Mm-hmm.
it's like Microsoft gives you this really cool kind of box that does the event, um, kind of the hard work of the event or
Mm-hmm.
the hard work of the messaging, and does it at scale. But I
Mm,
think that the other bit is you've got to think about your publishers and your consumers as well. And I think that's where, coming back to the earlier point about building a solution it very rarely involves just one service on Azure. So
mm-hmm.
we take event-driven stuff, it's very feasible. You might have a logic app, a function, an event grade, or you might have an event hub and a logic app or something like that.
Mm,
And I think understanding how to stitch them together and which ones work best in which scenario. So if you
exactly.
remember in that webinar, I was talking about the different ways,
Mm,
the
mm,
dead lettering and the error handling scenarios work in a function versus a logic app, and depending on what binding you use and stuff. So I think it'll be interesting to see how far that goes into
mm.
the ecosystem of the other products on Azure to show how they work with the event architecture. Quite interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like how they can work together to solve the business solution is always the best part of the integration solutions.
Yeah.
And integrate, one of my favorite part about integrate is like you get the first hand updates from the product teams almost on all the key technologies, that are all the key services that Azure integration space um, includes, say, logic apps, API management, service bus, event hubs, event grid, Azure functions. So we have dedicated sessions to dive deep into each of these services into, isn't it, Mike and Lex?
Thing as well, you've got to remember that because it'll be at a hybrid event this year.
Mm,
Um, the hopefully we now start getting the chance to have a chat in the break sessions as well,
mm-hmm,
which is that's the big bit of virtual events that
mm,
I've missed quite a lot. Is
mm.
you'll like if you see a session about event architectures, and then if you can have a chat with Kevin during the break or
Yeah.
Clemens and ask him a bit more about certain things, or you meet a few new people who are doing, you spot people asking questions in the session, and you chat about it during the break or over lunch, and you find out what other people are doing and what
Mm,
challenges they have and how they're solving them. That's where it gets really interesting, and I think
exactly.
it
Mm,
also, for me, it sparks ideas of things you can blog about as well, or feature sessions that people might do, and hopefully that
exactly.
you know being a hybrid event that starts bringing that back to life again, which will be really good, I think, this year.
Exactly. That also opens up opportunities for us to show them what we have built using their services. So
Mhm.
to discuss about the customer scenarios, to discuss about how we built applications using the services and what would add value to, what feature and the service that we expect that can add value to the way we use them. So that opens
Yeah.
up the platform there, which we don't get it in the virtual event. So even I'm pretty excited to be there in person for this event. Looking forward for this opportunity. Yeah.
Cove.co